So I was asked a question that I thought was interesting and deserved a video. And that's about average. Specifically, how to calculate a value that's missing from an average calculation. Let me give a picture. So you know all the values that went into calculating an average except for one, and you know what the average was. How do you find the missing value? Let's take a look at this example problem. Jessica was absent the day they handed back the math tests. She knows the class average was 78, and her friends got the following scores. Adam got 72, Fred got 67, Alice got 81, and Francesca got 72%. How can Jessica calculate a guess at her score on the test? So let's take a look at how we can do this on some paper. Let's start by writing down what we know about how to calculate average, or what's also known as the statistical mean. When you start with a group of numbers, you want to calculate their average. The first thing to do is to add up all of the numbers you're given. Each of those numbers can be called an addend, and the result is called the sum. The next thing to do is divide the sum by how many addends we actually had. And that will give us our calculated average. So let's write an expression that will tell us how we could calculate the average for the four known numbers that we were given. First, we add up the four addends, 72, 67, 81, and 72. And then we have to divide that sum by the number of addends, which is 4. We also know what the average for the entire class was. So we'll write that down as well, and that was 78%. A reasonable way of estimating Jessica's grade would be to calculate the average of the 5 grades and have it come out to be 78%. So let's write that expression. 72 plus 67 plus 81 plus 72 plus some unknown number, which we'll call a question mark, divided by 5 would give us 78%. So let's look really carefully at that expression that would give us our calculated average, including Jessica's, and understand what it means. We know that the sum of all of our marks are inside the bracket, and then we have to divide that sum by 5 to get us 78. That means that whatever's inside those parentheses must be 5 times larger than 78. So we can actually rewrite that expression. It's 5 times 78 will give us everything that we've added up in our parentheses, all 5 of our student marks. So we can calculate what 78 times 5 is. It's 390. And now that we know what the sum of all 5 addends should be, which is 390, and we know the sum of 4 of the addends because we already know these values. We can add these up. 72 plus 67 plus 81 plus 72 gives us 292, plus some unknown number, which is Jessica's score, would give us 390. So Jessica's score must be the difference between 390 down to 292. And the difference between 390 and 292 is 98. So now that we know Jessica's estimated score is 98, we can plug that number back into our original expression. 72 plus 67 plus 81 plus 72 plus 98. Those are all our addends, and we have 5 of them, so we need to divide that sum by 5, and that should give us the final average of 78%. Using a calculator, I can tell that 390 is our sum, divided by 5 gives us 78%. If we look back at the original question, we have to see what the question was asking. How can Jessica calculate a guess at her score on the test? The reason this is not her exact score is because we don't know every score of every person in the class. So we're just taking a smaller sample and calculating our best estimate. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this gives you an idea of how to solve these types of problems in the future. If you have other math problems or questions about concepts that you're struggling with, leave a comment below this video and I'd be happy to answer you directly. Enjoy doing math.